ideas flow, but never.
Today, we're talking about empowerment and transformation, burnout and resilience, alignment and flow, and inner healing.
Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind.
Hello, and welcome to Ramblings of a Busy Mind, episode 24. This time it's correct. Last time I got it wrong. And I have, I'm playing with my computer here, trying to figure that out. I have Ramona Crabtree-Falkner here, who is a transformational empowerment coach. Do I get that right this time?
Yeah.
Ramona, tell us a bit about you.
So I've been in the holistic wellness field for 20 years. I started out as a massage therapist. So I found my way into the holistic wellness field because I had my son and I was like, I need a job that I have more flexibility. Well, I went to massage therapy school. That ended up turning into so much more than I could have imagined. I mean, I'm thinking I'm just going to go to school to become a massage therapist. And then I realized it was, a path to my life calling. Ultimately, over those 20 years, I eventually moved into yoga teaching. So I went through yoga teacher training, focused my practice on energy healing. So, working with the chakra system, learning sound healing, Reiki, craniosacral therapy, emotion code. So, all of these kinds of energy work techniques. And then found that I really, really loved coaching. I really loved talking with my clients and guiding them and sharing ways for them to embrace their power, step into their own healing power, because as a healer, all I was doing is working with what their soul was calling in. So it's not me doing the healing, it's them healing, and I wanted to empower them to do things for themselves outside of our sessions, because sometimes if they came in with an issue, it was the same issue over and over and over again because they weren't doing anything at home to shift the energy to the alignments that we had helped them get to. So, ultimately, I ended up back in 2016 starting mindfulness coaching based on yoga philosophy and energy philosophies that I had learned over my entire career. And most recently, I shifted into this concept of transformational empowerment coaching because it's more than just mindfulness. It was guiding the women that I work with to remember they have the power to make change. They just have to choose it.
I have to chuckle because we went different paths, but there's so many similarities. For one, when I started my healing journey, I started with Ayurvedic massages,
Mhm.
food like nutrition too. And I started my first training in the Ayurvedic way with a blood pressure of 140 over 120. So I
Mhm.
was, as
Mhm.
usually, I've almost all my trainings, I've been the worst case. In that training, I learned about the singing bowls. We
Mhm.
did yoga in the training. I didn't like it. It's not my favorite to this day. But ha looking back, I know why, because it was too still and my mind was racing and I couldn't embrace the stillness because I was too much in my head and up and down and
Mhm.
left and right. So getting there, I learned about the singing bowls, and the singing bowls were the first time where my brain actually could go like, ah, there's something else.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it actually brought me back into my body and out of my brain.
Mhm.
So there's quite a few similarities between us. Like you, I love to empower people finding their own way. I see myself as a guide, or
Mhm.
stays maybe as a mentor, but usually as a guide who helps you find your own path, because I know that I cannot walk the walk for them. They have to walk it
Yeah.
themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really where after years of unlearning my own, I have to I'm a people I was a people pleaser, I was a fixer, I wanted to do all the things, and having to go through the journey in my early part of my career of not your job, not your job, not your job. And getting closer and closer to understanding what my purpose and my path really was, and really it was to be a guide. I mean, that's ultimately how I see coaching is I'm shining a light in a direction and I'm walking alongside of this person and saying, here's a direction or here's a direction. Which one do you want to take? Because one's a little lighter and one's a little darker. So which one do you want to walk down?
You do travels.
Hmm.
I've been mixing up people lately. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you do travels to different countries
Mhm.
as retreats for women.
Yes.
What is your clientele there?
So, I've been leading retreats for 15 years. As they started out locally, and then I started doing things nationally here in the U.S. And next year is our first official international. So, um, the shift into the international wellness travel, and that's what I'm calling it because it's m- it's a retreat, but it's really more about embodiment. It's about that mindful approach to an experience. Because I can go somewhere and be like, oh yeah, great, I saw this thing, it was amazing, and I move on. But when we can be present with something to the point that we feel it in our body, we feel the presence of the energy of that experience, that space, that moment, then it becomes a cellular memory, right? It becomes something that transforms us. So when I think of transformation, transformation isn't just about like, okay, I have this physical transformation or this mental it's a whole body experience for me. And it was born from my leap of faith that I took 3 years ago when I went to Greece by myself. I was like, okay, kids out of the house. I don't know what I'm doing with my business. I'm just gonna go to Greece.
Yeah, for me, growing up in Europe or growing up in Germany, traveling was always easy. Sorry, my dog's
Hmm.
going wild because there's a
Yeah,
truck outside.
yeah,
Recording a video.
yeah. Hmm.
Sorry. Um, the interesting part for me is like we traveled as kids and as youth quite often by train, by bus, by whatever.
Hmm.
Living in rural Nova Scotia, you cannot even get to Halifax without having somebody take you to the bus, and then it takes like I think 5 hours to get to Halifax by
Wow.
bus.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's like it's so different.
Hmm.
But as a child or as a youngster, traveling through Europe was amazing because you got to
Hmm.
see you friends
Yeah,
got together, got one car, and you just took off, and you within
yeah.
3 hours you were in Italy, basically, right? That's
Right,
but
right.
you could go to France, you could go to Spain, you could
Mhm.
so international travel was never a big thing, but I did my first retreat travel, and it was called a work retreat in 2020 to Costa Rica. And a friend of ours
Hmm.
lived in Costa Rica and invited us as practitioners to come together, and then we would in the morning treat each other, and then we would go on excursions. And that was a totally different concept because you did the wellness part, you did the teaching part, the education
Hmm.
part, and still you got to have fun and do
Yeah.
the other things.
And that's really the vision that I'm holding with my co-creator for these international travel experiences. So like when we go to Italy next year, we are going to be in Florence, and then we go to Tuscany, and then we go to the Amalfi Coast. So we're not just stationary in one part of the country. We're going to experience it in different ways. And it was funny because when we first started talking about this, she was like, "How are we going to bring yoga and this and that into it?" And I was like, well, first of all, pause. And this actually works because you said something earlier that I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's an interesting thought. Um, Yoga is not just the body's physical movement.
Mhm. No,
It's a whole philosophy.
I know.
There's so much more to yoga than maybe is commonly known or viewed, right? So most people think of yoga, they think of going to a class and moving their body through the asana. And maybe there's a little bit of awareness of breathing in that general perspective. But when you get a little deeper into it, you start learning about the philosophy. It's more than just the movement. The movement is actually just the entryway. So the rest of it comes because you move that energy through the body and you give yourself the ability to slow down and go internal and become more present. And so whether it's through, sound or through that movement, it's all leading you to the same place, which is internal wisdom, right? Internal knowing, internal healing. And so my vision when I think of these retreats is we are bringing that mindfulness and that presence into the experience, because we're not doing physical asana every day. We're not doing guided meditation every day. Sometimes the guided meditation is, okay, we're about to walk into um, this sanctuary that's holding the statue of David. Let's take a pause. Let's really get into the moment and be with the experience that we're about to have when we walk in there, and revel in the magnitude of that moment. So like when I was in Greece and I went to the Acropolis, like I was like, I'm in the presence of history, of ancestor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really feeling all of that. It wasn't just, oh, here's this giant structure that I'm witnessing and being like, wow, that's cool. No, I'm really going, wow, like the people that walked this land, the ancestors of my own that were here, because I believe that I have ancestors in so many different countries. I just came back from Ireland and was like, I 100% know what it is that I went there for. Like it wasn't just to go, it was because there was something that's got stirred up that's shifting in my life, that being in that land, my ancestors' land, needed to be received in that place. It
Yeah.
couldn't have been received in any other way. And so that's the embodiment, right? It's like, how do I really live this moment completely?
I find it interesting that you use the word mindfulness because for me, mindfulness doesn't go far enough. That's why talk about
Mhm,
awareness.
mhm,
Because with mindfulness, you can be mindful about something and not acting on it. But if you're
mhm.
aware of something, you always will act on it,
Right. Well,
right?
I believe that they're connected.
Yes.
Without awareness, mindfulness can't exist.
Or the mindfulness is a piece of the awareness,
Hmm. Yeah.
depending how you turn it. But
Yeah.
it's so interesting. And you talking about David, I saw the statue because I
Hmm.
had Italian in school. So we went down to Firenze or Florence
Hmm.
and did a school trip. And naturally you had to go there. And
Yeah.
the perspective was different than you
Yeah.
described, definitely because for us we were school kids. We were like, we have
Yeah.
to go there, another
Right.
statue. But
Yeah.
yes, it's true when you don't have the ability, and I've been to Sorrento, I've been to all like a lot of places in
Yeah.
Italy. My grandmother was kind of an archaeological fan, ecology fan.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
she took
Hmm.
us everywhere. With school, we went to Pompeii. So all
Okay.
of that.
Oh yeah.
Um, Pompeii would come to the closest that you describe because Pompeii is so much preserved in
Yeah.
that moment
Yeah.
that you get in there and you have the shivers and you go like, okay, I
Hmm.
can see it almost, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
While if you're standing in the Pantheon and you have just those sculptures or those columns around you, it's like, yeah, okay, it's another ruin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
but I always loved to go to those places because and I wasn't aware at that time, but they're all energy places.
Yes.
That's the point, right? And I
Yeah.
cannot go into any church
Hmm.
and not be quiet.
Hmm.
Even so, I'm not baptized. I didn't grow up in like, yes, we had religion in school, but my parents decided early on to leave church
Mm.
in Germany, and for the longest time I believed I was an atheist, but I found out I'm spiritual. I believe in a higher good.
Hmm.
I don't believe in church.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. And then I would never go in a church and be blasphemous or yell or whatever because
Mm.
it's for
Hmm.
me it's a sacred place.
It
Yes.
is 100%. In fact, when I was in Ireland, that was one of the things that I did is I walked into a couple of the churches in Kilkenny, and it was very present in that sacredness. And Really, truly, if you can move your mind back and let your senses, your other senses come forward, you can feel more of the frequencies that are there to show you love, to show you peace.
Mhm.
And so ultimately, when I think of using mindfulness, that's what it is. It's about helping you really be intentional about being in this moment so that you can perceive and
Mhm.
become more aware of what it is that is there for
Mhm.
you to
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So again, the question, who is your client? Sorry, I'm curious. What do you
Yeah, no
like?
worries. Yeah, so I work with women over 40 for the trips. My ideal, like who I'm speaking to for my programs and things that I do is women in the medical space. I when I really sat back and started making this pivot with my company, I had to observe like who's showing up, who's been knocking at my door for the last 20 years. And I can count on more than two hands the number of clients that I've had for long periods of time that came to me that were within the medical space,
Mhm.
and the amount of tension and pressure and there's that caregiving, right? So really it's a for me, I'm teaching what I know, right? So I, as a caregiver, I gave too much. As an empath, I felt too much. So most oftentimes, and not always, because I think there's two. It's kind of like musicians, right? Like you have the very eccentric, and then you have the very mathematical, right? I think the same thing is in all kinds of spaces, including the medical space. You have some that are really very empathetic, and they're there because they have a heart to be of service and support and care. And then you have the very mathematical and the very just like ABC, this is what we do,
Mhm.
right? And so I think that there is a need for that community to be supported because they spend all of their days supporting others.
I um I just had a podcast that we recorded last week with one of my clients. She's a former EHS, so a
Mm,
paramedic, and had to quit due to PTSD.
hmm
And it was so devastating to hear her talk about herself as losing her identity to that
hmm
because she was not valued, or she didn't feel
Yep.
valued anymore as
Yep.
a paramedic. So a 20-year career just down
hmm
the drain
Yep.
with
Yep.
one diagnosis.
Yep. I have so many ER doctors I've worked with throughout the years that I mean that is a real thing that they experience.
And it's such a shame because they've done more than their duty, and we should be the one carrying
hmm
them afterwards because they cared about
hmm
us, and
Yep.
nobody does.
hmm
Right? And it doesn't matter if it's a firefighter or police or whatever. As soon as they get that label,
hmm
it's like they don't exist anymore.
hmm
Yeah. Do you see similarities between PTSD and burnout?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I think that it is possible to have both.
Absolutely. I would say PTSD definitely has burnout. Burnout, not per se PTSD, but
I think that there is a number of people that have found their way to me that the reason they're burnt out is because they've been operating from that PTSD space for sure. Hmm
mm, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So your go-to when you are stressed.
Walk outside.
Hmm.
Get
Anything else? Tuning,
outside.
humming, just walking.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot. I mean, I hum and I breathe all the time. Like that's just a natural behavior for me. But when I'm really at the edge, I go outside.
Hmm.
Um, I've used tapping and toning, and in fact, I had to have my thyroid removed. And when they did the surgery, he nicked my vocal cords.
Oh,
So chanting was what actually healed my voice. So even now when I'm fatigued, it's a little bit raspy. But uh, that's what I did every day after the surgery was tone. So
Mm.
whether it's chakra toning or chanting, those were things that were always really, really powerful for me. And then tapping is something that I do. Motion code is something that I do. But really, truly, the number one tool that in my toolbox that helps me get out of the noise and into myself is walking outside and just being with nature.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm lucky that I'm 2 minutes from the ocean, so all
Hmm.
summer I would go down and walk in the
Yeah,
water.
yeah.
Actually, unfortunately, I cannot do that without shoes because we have stones, so it's hard to walk without.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's still having the water around your feet
Hmm.
is just amazing.
Yeah, I'm a Florida girl. I, grew up in the Gulf Coast. So yeah, I mean, I grew up in Orlando, but I mean, I grew up going to the Gulf Coast. So that's my favorite side of the state, and it's where I feel the most refreshed and recharged for sure.
I came from the Bavarian Alps
Mm.
to the Nova Scotian Sea.
Oh yeah, there you
And
go.
from one rural landscape to another, I gotta say I appreciate both, but home is
Mm.
definitely like, and that was so interesting because, as you said, like feeling connected to a place.
Mhm.
Um, After I did my internship in '98 in Mississauga, I never wanted to go back to Germany, but I couldn't find out how. I couldn't afford how from what I found, and I had 3 semesters left, so I went back to Germany. I was never happy again.
Mm.
And then finally in 2006, I managed to come back here for good and stayed with my parents because they're here in Nova Scotia too. And then in 2007, my former boss said, okay, there's a property, take a look at that. That might be something for you. I never ever thought
Yeah.
about buying a house. It's the only house I ever looked at. It's my house now.
Oh, that's great.
People come, it's so interesting because people come into this house and they take a breath.
Hmm.
You know that reaction when they come in and they just like
Hmm.
landed. And I cannot imagine being somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like I like to travel, but I cannot imagine living anywhere else than here,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So once you become aware or mindful, no, aware, aware, sensitive to the energy that surrounds you, you find
Hmm.
your places,
Yep.
and you like your whole perception of a place changes so much.
Hmm.
It's crazy,
Yeah, agreed.
right? And that's what people don't realize. Like if they like, let's say burnout and stress, you sit in a
Hmm.
room in like a faded brown, grayish, whatever color
Hmm.
that's not serving you, and then you have the
Yep.
flickering light above
Yep.
you.
Hmm.
You're
Yep.
not really
Yeah.
contributing to your health.
Well, and the so the frequency of that space is not so like I my where my desk is right now, it used to be on the wall that's to my left. And I noticed that I was feeling really like I was feeling really down. So I shift everything around so the window is now behind me. Even though I have a shade over it, there's still light that's coming into my face while I sit at this thing that's also projecting lots of frequencies that are not meant for my body.
Hmm. Yeah, we didn't do the walls in my office. My office is called it's called banana split the color. It's like a very bright yellow, not blue. But what we did was we put intention down before the floor went on. So
Mm,
me and a friend were, and she's working with me. So she did her workspace, I did mine. So we put intention where we're sitting, but we put intention all the way into the treatment room.
wonderful.
And that shifted the whole situation in the house. Like again, it shifted the
Hmm.
energy quite a
Hmm.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting what you can do with just color or intention or
Absolutely. Right. Well, an intention, right? So whatever your intention is, I have people, any space that I've ever held as an office space, people would always walk in and be like, "Oh." I'm like, "Yeah, because I set intention into that space, even if I couldn't write something on the walls or whatever, I clear the room with sound healing, or I was smudging, or I had my crystals laid out in a very specific way. Like all of that was intentional
energy.
Same way it is here. It's
Yeah.
intentional the way that my room feels, the office that I work in.
Hmm.
So much so that my husband and my son, when my son was living here, they would just come in here. And then
Find a
one
good
day my
place.
husband had a conversation in here that I was like, you can't have that conversation in there. No.
One of my cats sleeps in my treatment room. That's
Hmm.
while
Yeah.
the dog is constantly sitting next to me, and my older cat is like he finds places that I don't know where. Like lately, he's
Hmm.
underneath a shelf. But yeah, it's interesting where they go and what they do, right? That's the
Yeah.
next thing. Your pets know exactly
Yeah.
what's a good space and
Yeah,
what's
because they read energy,
yeah,
right? Just
yeah,
like children do. Like children are like, "Oh, I like you," and or "No, I don't." Like they can tell whether or not someone is, for the most part, I think
they
they're able
are
to
way more in
recognize.
tune.
Hmm.
They are
Hmm.
way more in tune than we are. And it took me like I never had kids, but when the aha moment came with why do we force kids to hug somebody that they don't want to hug?
Yeah, my daughter-in-law does not do that with my grandbabies. She's
Yeah.
like, she's gonna do what she wants, and so, like, I never expect anything from my granddaughter. She just comes to me when she's ready, and when she's done with me, she goes, and I'm like, all right, have a nice day. I think the cutest thing that happened to me this week is that I drove over to their house to visit, and she's just over 2, and I pull into the driveway, and my son has the door open, and the glass window that she can see through at the door. She sees me and she starts going like this. And then he opens the door and she runs down the driveway to me. And I was like, oh.
Today you have time for me. It's like a
She
cat.
she has a lot of time for me, but it was just that moment of realizing like she's recognizing where it feels good and like running to it because it feels good,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, they have a little bit of a Mona. She cries for me, Mona. So it's really sweet, and I'm like, oh, that's so good.
Is that your only grandchild, or you
We
have
have
more?
two. They
You
have
have two.
two. So the second one is about 4 months old.
So you're excited and getting grandchild into the energy healing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tell them all the time, I'm like, especially the older one, I'm like, that girl's straight up empath. We need to make sure that we're helping her
It's so interesting. I did
learn how
that.
to work that.
I did that with the kids in our family. Like we did. They had a trampoline. Of them
Hmm.
fell, so we did therapeutic touch up to the
Yep.
foot. Half an
Yep.
hour later, the kid was just jumping around normally.
Yep.
So they came afterwards and said, "What did you do?" I said, "I just did this." And then don't I look 5 minutes later and somebody squished their finger and they go like,
That's great.
they're so cool. Like kids are so amazing because they're so in
Hmm.
tune, right?
Hmm.
If they get a
Yeah.
chance to be the way they need to be or should be
Hmm.
and not being put in a form or shape that's not
Yep.
really natural.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. Or how
Someone's
we had to
expectation
discover
of us,
back what we
right?
are.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not an expectation anymore.
Yeah.
It's just they're just being. It's great.
If you were to travel anywhere in the world or
Oh my
retreat,
God.
if you had to pick any country, any space, anywhere in the world for retreat, what would be your most wishful, most desired?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're doing it. So like
Italy?
my vision was always Italy or Greece.
Mm.
Greece will happen eventually, probably in 2027. But I never so until I went to Greece, I never went overseas. I've only traveled in like the Caribbean, Mexico, Canada space. So for me, I'm a Gemini. I need to go. Like we gotta go. I need to move. I need to feel the air. Like I genuinely desire those experiences and those moments. And again, a lot of it is soul call. Like I feel the spaces that are or the countries that I feel called to, it's very clear, like it's my soul saying you need to go here and you need to do this now.
Mm, mm,
So I don't have a lot of places that I'm like, oh, I have to go do that, and it doesn't feel like a call to action. So, so Italy is probably, I mean, we're actually going over the week of my birthday with this group.
nice.
So there's some magic there in that for me. Like when we picked the date, she was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to work on your birthday." I'm like, "I'm gonna be in Italy. It's all good."
Well,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I think secondarily, I really would love to go to Thailand.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's gonna be a longer haul. So that's gonna take a minute, I think, to bring that to fruition. But it'll come because I've been holding this vision for this international travel for 3 years, and in all honesty, the co-creator that I'm with came into my life in May, and it feels like we've known each other. I mean, we say it all the time. We're like, we've known each other forever. Like this, we haven't really just been in each other's life for 3 months. Like we've known each other forever,
Yeah, when you
and
find
that's soul
people you
connection.
when you find the people you're resonating with,
Yeah.
time doesn't make any
Hmm.
difference.
Yeah.
It's there, you're connected, and they come into your life when you're ready for them or when you need.
Exactly.
That's the part, and what most people don't realize.
Well, and that's interesting because I'm about to write a book that is speaking to some of that, but not that concept directly. But there's definitely a lot of awareness I've built over the last 3 years on this journey from Greece to now. So I was in Greece September 21st, 3 years ago. So I'm coming up on the 3 year mark when everything that I've manifested and is happening now started.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. I love that. So
Yeah.
if you were to recommend to somebody, because you're traveling with a group, how do you prevent yourself from burning out during that? What's the goal?
Again, I've been leading retreats for a long time, and I can remember back when I was like super stressed out about the retreat, about everything. Oh, the food and the this and the that, and the good thing about what's happening once we move into this travel, wellness travel retreats is that I'm not doing any of that. I literally show up and I do my magic, and that is it. I have the travel agent in place to manage all of the other things, and I just get to go and be with these women and hold this container with them and enjoy the environment with them. And that is very exciting for me. So I have my last retreat that I'm doing in my old programming this month, actually. So I'll be in Montana with two beautiful, amazing souls. To answer your question directly about how do I keep from burning out is just don't make myself think that it's bigger than it is. I ground myself and really remember that, listen, it's going to be what it's going to be, and it's going to be perfect. And if it's meant to be something else, then it'll show itself in that moment. So I had a moment where I was trying to book a tour for us to go to Yellowstone, and then through some conversation with one of the participants, I completely shifted it because it wasn't lining up. So for me, it's about alignment. So that's how I keep from burnout in all areas of my life, but especially when I'm leading a retreat. If I create a schedule and say it has to be this, then I'm creating the space for the burnout. So you can see my fingers.
Mm.
But if I say, okay, these are the things that we're going to do over this container of time, and I allow them to just organically show me when they're ready to be experienced or
Mm.
brought in, and I start every one of my retreats with, look, I have a general schedule, but we're going to follow spirit. So wherever it is the energy takes us, that's where we're going to go because that's what's needed. So if we need to stay in circle longer because somebody needs to process something out in our space, then maybe we won't do yoga afterward, or maybe we're not going to do this meditation until tonight, and I just allow it. And I think that that's really how I keep myself from burning out in any of the work that I do is as long as what I'm doing feels like it's an alignment and it feels good in my body and it feels like we're following the flow of the energy, there's no space for burnout.
I love that you set it up. Like you not only setting up, you're flexible enough
Mhm.
to know that there has to be give and it's never written in stone, but you're allowing yourself the space to say, okay, if it's not happening this way, it happens another way.
Yep.
And how many people can't do that? How many people are stuck in there? This is the way it has to go, and I cannot look right or left because I'm off the path. And but I find detours sometimes show you the most amazing things, right? And
Agreed.
you're taking so much opportunity out of the journey when you
Mhm.
only go the path.
Yep. Yep. Well, and I also, this is kind of part of what I was saying about this book that I'm about to write, is sometimes those detours, they're ugly. They don't look pretty. And so then that puts our ego into a space of convincing us that we did something wrong or something didn't work out, and then we start trying to resolve it instead of saying, okay, what are you teaching me that I need to see? So, I mean, you and I talked before we even got on here about something that, okay, my body's telling me something, I'm not listening. Well, same thing happens in any part of our life if we're traveling it mindfully and intentionally and being the witness to what it is that's happening. And if we can be more present with things and how they're unfolding instead of being attached to how we think they should be going.
Or
Then,
why they are happening.
right,
Ah.
right, right. So then what that does is it offers us freedom. It offers us space. It offers us the opportunity to experience something versus feeling rigid and immovable and inflexible. And so that flexibility is my yoga, right? It is the yoga. So even though yoga, like I said before, it's not just about being physically flexible. It's about being mentally flexible. It's about being emotionally flexible. It's about allowing things to be instead of forcing them. When we really step into the space of allowing and alignment. So for me, that alignment is so, 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 so important, because when I'm aligned, then everything that I'm doing matches back to the vision or the intention or whatever it is that I'm holding.
Mhm.
And so for me, that's the center of my tagline, right? So reclaim energy, realign purpose, rise empowered. So the realign purpose is what what is the intention? What is the vision? What is my soul's purpose? What is it asking me to do, right?
Mhm.
And when I set that, and I can see the whole vision here, right? Anything that I do that doesn't match the frequency of that vision is not right. It is not aligned for me. It is out of sync. In fact, I literally spent the first part of this week messaging some people that I was having meetings with or I was collaborating with and said, I'm stepping out of this project. I'm pausing this project. I'm not having this meeting. Like, because I came into September 1 and Spirit was like, these things don't match.
Mhm.
They need to go.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if I didn't let those things go, they were going to become opportunities for me to feel tension, stress, and ultimately overwhelm or burnout.
Because they draw your energy, they block your energy, they won't allow for flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I hear you on that.
right, right. So the reality is that so often we end up stuck, overwhelmed,
Yeah.
because we're saying yes to a no.
Mhm.
We're saying yes to something that's not aligned. We're
Mhm.
saying yes to something our ego says, well, this will keep you safe, and that's the way to go. Well, you know what? If I keep operating from that space, then what I'm doing is I'm stopping my abundance flow. When
Absolutely.
I honor purpose, when I honor heart, when I honor truth, when I honor vision, And I go, okay, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I find a big part in that is trusting, is like,
Absolutely.
and in the burnout, like when the burnout brain was really, really active, um, it was like, I have to, like that.
Mhm.
Hold on to everything that's there. And these days is like, oh, that's not happening. Okay, fine, we'll do something else.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
So I'll share this with you because it's right on time. So um my trip to Ireland, I went solo and it was supposed to be traveling with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 days before we left, I get a call. I'm not going to be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I sat back and I said, okay, what am I doing? Am I staying or am I going? And every single cell in my body was screaming from my soul saying, you are going. And I was like, okay. Because I'd already been getting these like glimmers of awareness of like, there's a shift that's coming. There's some ancestral energy here. You're working on a very specific pain point that you're healing, and being in the ancestral land is part of what is going to help shift that or propel it. And I'm going to tell you right now, it just like, it has been since I've been home. So had I said no to a yes, here we go, right? Which was to go out of, well, now it's going to be more money, or, well, I'll be alone and I don't know if I want to go alone, or fear, or.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you the whole time up to this trip, because we decided to take it in May and I went in early August. I When I went to Greece, I was like, I was planning and I was okay, I gotta have this thing and this thing in order for me to be safe. And this time I was just like, okay, I guess I'm leaving in 2 hours. I should probably get my stuff together
So funny.
because it was so soul aligned. It was just, this is what I'm doing.
You know, but the fun part is in that I used to have, like, when I used to travel, I had like schedules where I had to be when, and hotel booked and whatever. You had to be safe. These days, do I have my credit card? Do I have my medication
Yep,
or whatever
yep,
supplements I need?
yep,
Do I have one set of fresh underwear? Okay, good to go.
yep, yeah, yeah,
And that's it.
yep,
And before, everything was like stress and I need to.
yep.
And I find these days it's a lot of things that happen. Like I'm very conscious about the fights that I pick.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worthwhile or not? Still, I catch myself once in a while that I want to get my point through, which I don't need to.
Yeah.
Happens well. And I see those
We're human. Even though we're in the business, we're still human.
I see those times, I see them as a almost like a challenge to find out how
Yeah,
resilient am I, or
yeah,
how far have I come.
yeah,
And everything else is okay. When something happens, it's a lesson. It's you
yep,
take it and you make
yep,
it the best out of it.
yep.
Um,
Right. And there are times that my ego gets in charge and
mhm.
I go down the rabbit hole and then I'm in Wonderland trying to figure out how to get the hell out of it. But you know what? If I'm in the upside down, there's a reason. If I'm talking to the Cheshire Cat, there's a reason. Like it's okay. It's part of my journey, and that's why, for me, my company name, Authentic Life Journey, is intentional. It's because authenticity is messy.
Yeah.
Life is whatever it is that is showing up. It is whatever's in that moment, and it's a journey. It's going to change. We're going to take hills. We're going to take valleys. We're going to go up, we're gonna go down, and it's all okay. It's all okay. And I'm saying that because I was taught that it wasn't. Like I was taught perfection and do right, and that's how you
Uh,
get love and all those things. And so unlearning all that, shifting all of that, stepping closer to what lights me up, what makes me happy, what is it that I'm on this planet to be a contributor to?
Honestly, I find perfection is boring
Hmm.
because it's this again, it's the box.
Hmm. Yep.
There's no surprises, there's no aha moments, there's only flatlining the same thing all the time.
Well, perfection is your ego trying to keep you safe, right? So like if we do it
Absolutely.
this way, then everything will be okay. And if it's not this way, then everything's not okay. And then it's so for me, perfectionism is chaos. So being able to and I'm saying that from somebody who has to constantly work the edge of that because I also have a degree in theater. So and I was a stage manager. So if you didn't light the stage at exactly the moment it was supposed to be lit, somebody was in the dark.
Might make an
And
interesting show.
right? Exactly. So I had to really learn to rein that in over many years and still even to this day there are moments where I have to and I will say this I definitely have more of a done is better than perfect attitude now, so I don't necessarily get stuck in that anymore because I am more present with my mind.
My brother and I have so totally different personalities in that case because I'm like, okay, get it done, make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
follow through,
Yep.
get it over with. And he's like, he wants the perfect situation. He wants the perfect decision. And he's driving me crazy because he asked 15 times to go back to the first decision. I'm like, oh,
Well, it's because his ego feels safest in that decision,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but it's so interesting when you see where, like, I was the same. I had to make like sure that everything was crossed and dotted and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And these days, I'm like, okay, this is what we need, so we can try this way. And I have the advantage that my brain doesn't work problems. My
Right.
brain is all solution. Like you come up with a problem, and there's no problems. There's only challenges. We
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you come up
It's
with
opportunities. It's
yes,
gifts.
yes, you come up and you say, "Oh, I'm him, blah blah," and I'm like, "Okay, you can try this, 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 and there. How about we do this?" Everybody looks at you and like, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, sorry, my brain doesn't work problems.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
problems. There's challenges, and we
Yeah.
fix them, or
Yeah.
we say we cannot fix it, and then we throw it out and do something else."
Yep. Yep. I see it as an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn something. It's an opportunity to try something different. It's an opportunity. So when I shifted my mindset from issue problem to opportunity gift, then it doesn't and again, that doesn't mean that I don't get triggered into something and then I have to work my way
Same
back.
here, yeah.
But that's the awareness piece, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm aware that okay, I'm running down a path that's not serving me, then I have to go stand outside with the trees
Take
and
a deep
say,
breath. Put your
what's
feet on
really
the ground.
important here? What do I really need? What and so it shifts, right? But I actively pursue that life.
Yeah, I hear you. Same here. Same here. It's like, and that's the exciting part when you get to the point that you go like, oh, there's an opportunity, then you become excited
Hmm.
about what's happening. You're not being
Hmm.
depressed about not being able to do something,
Yep. Yep.
right? And you're not
Yep.
shutting yourself down.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
Well, what
Agreed.
a pleasure to have you here. So much fun.
It's been a pleasure to be
Awesome.
here.
And yes, so if you wanted to give somebody who is in stress, whatever, a tip, what would you say?
Uh, your answers don't live outside of you. They live inside you. So in order to find them, you have to turn inward.
Mhm.
And so that turn inward can be listening to the sound bowls, it can be taking a walking meditation, it can be chanting, it can be following a guided meditation, it could be yoga, it could be tai chi. I don't care what you do.
Find yourself.
You got to find yourself, and you're only going to do that when you slow down.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you for being here. And we'll
Mm.
post, if anybody wants to reach out to you, we'll post your information underneath the description, in the description, not underneath, in the description. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it's going. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last time that we've
Ah. We just scratched the surface, right?
absolutely. Ramona,
Well,
thank
thank
you
you so
so
much for
much.
having me.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast. Ideas flow, but never last. Waves of wonder, thoughts ideas fade, all the shine. Oh, welcome to